actually come back. I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those two guys, those two monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kevin Walsh here with you on a Thursday night. It is Game Time Decisions live on SportsGrid with plenty to break down here on this Thursday. We have just one NBA playoff game tonight in Minnesota. The Timberwolves look to avoid a 4th consecutive loss to the Denver Nuggets and win what would be their first game of this series on their home floor. We have a WNBA game tonight featuring superstar Caitlin Clark as she makes her home debut against the New York Liberty. 2 games on the ice. The Rangers trying to close out Carolina on the road. Edmonton and Vancouver tied at 2 apiece. Pivotal game, obviously, there back in Vancouver. Baseball board has already seen some action earlier with the New York Yankees completing a sweep of the Minnesota Twins. We have still 5 more games to go. And let's get right to that quickly here with a quick pick for the people. The 3-game streak of the MLB Play of the Day looking like cash was snapped, perhaps, because I wasn't here in the mix with you on Game Time Decision. So let's hope that spins back around with an under in H-Town. Astros, A's, under the 9 here with Christian Javier and Joey Estes on the mound. Joey Estes, a prospect for Oakland, looked great in his opening start. Yes, it was just 5 innings, but 2-hit baseball, no walks, and perhaps the books here not appropriately pricing Estes. Another reason, though, for this number is Christian Javier. It's a slow start for him, but he's been excellent in Houston and still, I think, a very quality pitcher. So if both of these guys can step up tonight, this game can go well under the listed total of 9, which we have seen already now happen in 2 consecutive in this series between Astros and Athletics. Under the 9, -110, your MLB play of the day. We will also hit the PGA Championship course record. Xander Schauffele with a 9 under in his opening round is currently the favorite and, of course, the clubhouse leader. We'll talk to Brady Cannon a little bit later on in this show. But let's get to the hoops tonight. Let's get to Minnesota and Denver. I have not placed a bet just yet on the Minnesota Timberwolves, though I am very tempted to do so. -130 is their money line price. 2.5 currently is their spread price here. And the Minnesota Timberwolves now find themselves with their backs against the wall. The Minnesota Timberwolves blowing a 2-0 lead is heavily favored now. When you take a look at the series price, their best case scenario, having to go back to altitude for a Game 7. I discussed, again, countless times here, that Minnesota being this certainty for people after the 2-0 lead was very dangerous, a bit misguided. People tossing aside everything that Denver had done over the last year. When you look at the title run and you look at this regular season. But these are also how these things go. Not only did I warn about Denver being able to bounce back, but when they did, people buying in too much. The Denver Nuggets winning all three in Minnesota? That's a huge ask. That is a huge ask for this team. And it suggests that the Timberwolves' 2-0 lead was fraudulent. And I think that this Minnesota team has more juice than that. But I haven't played this minus 130 yet. What does that say about me? Perhaps it suggests I'm giving the champs a lot of respect here. Perhaps I'm someone who's still quite frustrated that I never pulled the trigger on those big Denver prices, 7-1 to win the West, and better than 4-1 to win this series, 17-1 to win it in 6 games, which is the scenario that's on the board here tonight against the Timberwolves. What I do have are 2 player props here, and one on Anthony Edwards, but on the defensive side of the basketball. Anthony Edwards over 1.5 steals plus blocks. This is at minus 166. And I know that type of juice is usually out of the range for your day-to-day bettor. If you really must make this a plus money situation, a little simple SGP of 2+ steals for Anthony Edwards and 1 block is fine by me. But that would be 3 steals plus blocks. And while I think Ant has a good chance to make that happen tonight, I feel incredibly confident he gets us 2 steals plus blocks and a lot more confident that minus 166. I think this should be above minus 200 right now. Ant in the postseason is so far 7-2 against this number. But more importantly is what we saw from Anthony Edwards last game, have his worst performance overall in the 2 categories combined. Anthony Edwards did not have a block last game. Anthony Edwards has not had consecutive games this postseason without a block. Anthony Edwards did not have 2 steals last game. He has not had consecutive games this postseason without 2 steals. So you're double bounce back in both individual categories. If I was playing the 1.5 steals, I'm playing it over. If I'm playing the half a block, I'm playing it over. So I bring them together at minus 166, and I feel great about Anthony Edwards getting through this number. Again, if you want to play the straight steals, you want to play the straight block, the trends apply. But minus 166 juice is not enough to scare me off. Anthony Edwards getting the job done defensively here tonight against the Denver Nuggets. One guy who will get the job done a bit offensively should be Michael Porter Jr. I mean, sound the alarms with the level of bounce back spot we have here for MPJ. Back-to-back single-digit scoring efforts for Michael Porter Jr., who got off this postseason to a phenomenal start, averaging nearly 20 points per game through his first 8 games of these playoffs here. If you go back to the regular season, Michael Porter Jr. had 2 straight games without hitting 10 points, just twice. The follow-up games, 20-plus points in each of them, 4+ made threes in those games as well. We had 14 regular season games from Michael Porter Jr. where he did not score double digits. Just 14, and that's just straight up. In those 14 games, he was 10-4 with the follow-up game giving us over 13.5 points. And in half of those follow-up games, he hit 20. You're getting just under 4-1 tonight for Michael Porter Jr. if you would like to climb the ladder on his points prop here on the road in this spot going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, for the game, I look towards Minnesota. I've not played it yet. Perhaps that changes before we leave here tonight on Game Time Decisions. The other big basketball game is in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's home debut against the New York Liberty. And if you take a look at this line, the Liberty are getting a lot of respect, and it's not respect that I personally agree with, as I am unimpressed by this Liberty team. I am worried about this Liberty team as they head into this season here. They were blown out by 48 points in a preseason game against the Chicago Sky. And I am sure for some people, a preseason blowout does not matter. For me, it does. A team that lost last year in the finals, who wants to be taken serious, wants to get over a Las Vegas Aces team that's won 2 titles in a row, favored to win a third, needs to show up ready to rock. And that was alarming what we saw in the preseason, and it carried over to game 1 with the Mystics up nearly double digits at the break and easily covering an 11 on opening night. But I'm not going to worry about this spread here, nor this total, nor props on Brianna Stewart or Sabrina Ionescu. No. We go straight to the star herself. That is Caitlin Clark. 4+ rebounds, plus 120. Let's go a little bit higher as well. 6+ boards for Clark at plus 430. Caitlin Clark, go back to the collegiate game. 7 rebounds per game in her career. She is supposed to be able to get triple-doubles. Why are the rebound numbers so low? Take a look at the preseason action. Game 1, 28 minutes, 3 boards. Game 2, 32 minutes, 8 rebounds. She had 0 in her debut against the Sun. It provides a buy low spot here for Caitlin Clark to crash the glass at home, not going up against as tough of a matchup as is Alyssa Thomas. We'll hit the rest of the NBA odds next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Pendrith ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament, also seeking his first PGA Tour victory. He went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions live right here on a Thursday night. Let's reset the deck with your prices in the NBA playoffs. We'll start in the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics are nearly -1,000 to win the East. -950, Knicks 8-1. The expectation is the Knicks will advance against the Pacers, though they're supposed to lose game number 6 to the Pacers. That Pacers 24-1 is just a touch tempting, if only because you know you would get value if they get through the New York Knicks. It's hard to justify, though, because you'd still get a huge price for the Pacers if they advance through. I will say, as I saw this number today on Boston, there was a part of me that groaned a little bit. Leap day, it's easy for me to remember. was going to come in here and place a future on the Celtics, at the time, plus 110 to win the Eastern Conference, and I decided not to do it. And sometimes it's hard to trust this Celtics team. And here we are, back in the conference finals. And whenever the Celtics are a top seed, they do make the conference finals in the East. But as we sit here in this minus 950 number, while it feels justified, does it feel earned? And for the Celtics, it doesn't matter. But they got through Miami, no Jimmy Butler. We entered that series being like, oh, come on. And that's exactly what it was. The series against the Cavs, I felt Cleveland could hang a bit. They won a game in Boston, dominant fashion, in fact. And then they lost Donovan Mitchell for the last two. The Cavs were already without Jared Allen. Heck, Karis LeVert missed that final game in Boston as well. And Cleveland hung in the final two games of the series. So for the Celtics, as I sit here, and yeah, of course, I wish I had the plus 110, but you can't see a path opening up. For a team that was already 14 games better than the next best record in the conference, as easy as it has for Boston, we're here with a minus 950 number. Most people believe their first true test will come against the West. Well, when we look at the Western Conference prices, the favorites are the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets are the team that all year long Celtics fans have openly acknowledged as one that they don't think they can beat. It'll probably end up pushing me onto the Celtics if we do get a Boston-Denver finals. But we have now a Dallas Mavericks plus 230 number. As somebody sitting on their 16-1 preseason price, I'm pleased with where things are. And if we do get those top two teams to match up in Dallas and Denver, one number I want people to keep their eye out for is Kyrie Irving points per game in the series. I'm hoping the books will post it. I think they will. Kyrie Irving is averaging under 15 points per game against the Thunder. It speaks volumes to just how good Dallas is. Kyrie's been contributing in other ways, especially the assist category, and the fact that Oklahoma City has really struggled to score on this Dallas defense. But if we do get Denver and Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, the Mavericks are going to need more from Kyrie in a scoring fashion, and I think he will be ready to give it to them. So just something to keep your eye out for. Title odds right now, Boston minus 150. Understandable. They will have home court advantage no matter who they play if they are in the finals. And when you look at their expected price to be in the finals, again, we just showed you minus 950, it's hard to knock it. I do think if you're interested in buying low on someone in that Western Conference, it does get a little bit interesting to play the Thunder at 25-1, right? Who would have home court advantage, by the way, in the conference finals, as opposed to playing them for 7-1 to win the Western Conference. One team you cannot play is the Cleveland Cavaliers, eliminated again last night by the Boston Celtics. And that then brings all of these questions around Donovan Mitchell. And these are fair questions, because we do not know if Donovan is going to sign the extension to stay in Cleveland. The reporting fallout from their elimination was not just about whether Donovan Mitchell would stay, but whether J.B. Bickerstaff will be fired out of Cleveland, and if Darius Garland would be interested in staying, with or without Donovan Mitchell. Could this team move off of Jared Allen? All of a sudden, we're talking about a coach and 3 stars all being moved for Cleveland. It gets very interesting. But the big thing is Donovan Mitchell's decision. Some landing spots that have already been listed by Brian Windhorst of ESPN. The Lakers, the Nets, the Heat, and the Rockets. All interesting to varying degrees. The Lakers, possibly the most interesting, because Donovan would be competing for a championship on day one alongside Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And when LeBron does ultimately leave this game, Donovan Mitchell has the chance to be the face of the Lakers when he does, which is a huge spot to be in. I do think Donovan would actually end up the face of the Lakers over AD. You could debate that if you'd like, but it still would be a great spot for Mitchell to be in. If he goes to the Brooklyn Nets, he gets to keep it local. We know he's had interest in playing for the New York Knicks. That seems almost impossible with the Brunson full-on breakout that he's had this postseason. But Mitchell and Bridges would end up being a top 5 duo in the Eastern Conference. Playoffs would be the expectations. And if playing in New York is a priority for Mitchell, this certainly could answer the bell. The Miami Heat, we know, want another star. Is that to pair with Jimmy and Bam or just Bam? I guess time will tell. Donovan Mitchell feels like he would fit the billing, although I just have to throw it out there. Does anybody have any interest in a 3-team deal that would get Donovan Mitchell over to Milwaukee and Damian Lillard to Miami? I know that probably doesn't make much sense for Miami because Mitchell's the better player, but I just wonder what the assets look like there. And I don't know, again, Cleveland probably wouldn't want to put Donovan Mitchell within their own division, but ultimately, what's the best package going to be for Cleveland? That is going to be a big part of this. I think they're going to be willing to deal Donovan. I don't think it's going to be a singular spot that he lands. I could be wrong here. Maybe he's going to be able to narrow this list down to Lakers, Nets, or no one. But if it's open season, well, then the Rockets really could get interesting here. They have the 3rd pick in this upcoming draft. Jalen Green upped his value massively over the final 2 months of the season. Houston has future picks and other young guys on the roster. It just doesn't make as much sense for Houston to rush things unless Ime Udoka is putting a ton of pressure on that front office, which he probably is. Certainly something for us to watch and certainly something we will cover. We'll go to the PGA Championship, the hockey and the baseball next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, Game Time Decisions, a busy night here, no doubt about it, with a big NBA playoff game, the WNBA home debut for Caitlin Clark, 2 games on the ice baseball. But let me just quickly hit this PGA Tour championship action here, or PGA championship action, excuse me. I made the coward's decision today, if you will. It won't be popular, but I do hope it'll be profitable. And I use some profit boosts to make this more worth it. I today, after Scotty, who's 4 in, He was 2 under at the time. I know he eagled, of course, on 1. I played Xander and Scheffler. I know that for a lot of people and how they like to bet golf, that will not move them even slightly. That is the most boring thing you can possibly do. And maybe it's not the smartest thing you can do. I've heard it all with Xander, right? He can't close. But we all agree Xander Schauffele is a really, really, really good golfer. At some point, he's going to break through. He just hit a course record here, right? And is 3 up on Finau and Theegala, 4 up on Rory McIlroy and Rob McIntyre. So Xander, I don't want to say it's now or never, but man, does it feel like it could be now. But the thing is, at the time, right, a lot of these other guys were final. Scottie Scheffler was not. And again, Scheffler was on pace to shoot a 36? He was 2 under through 1. But you could tell that Scottie had a chance to go low. And the way they priced Scottie, it didn't hurt to jump in at the time. Right now, Scheffler is 4 under through 13, and he sits plus 280. Again, I was betting the golf a little bit differently, but I felt for me, I really wanted to just bet Xander, but Scheffler has been so horrifying. And due to the nature of all these boosts that you'll get around major championship time, I played them both. And those boosts typically refresh day to day. I'll probably take them both, 1 here, 1 there, and go through it like that. That's where I'm at now. We shall see, though, and we will talk to Brady Cannon in an hour right here on SportsGrid and get his thoughts as we will have then finished out the first day here at the PGA Championship. Baseball-wise, I said it, play of the day. It's Astros Athletics under the 9, Javier Estes for me. I am also going to play a little Cubs money line. Look, this is an interesting spot, man. But the number here on the Cubs feels really, really nice. Minus 122 you can find right now on Steele against Jones. So we saw Steele as a road favorite against Skeens just a week ago. Lit up in the game. You could tell me Skeens is better than Jones. I don't think, or Jones is better than Skeens right now. I don't know if the books are pricing it that way. I don't. I think with the amount of attraction that Paul Skeens got in the debut, maybe big bets came in. Maybe the big bets came all the way in on Chicago. But again, Steele closed as a road favorite, and now we flip it back here at home. I'm getting minus 122. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not giving Jones all the credit in the world. I considered this play of the day style. I bounced back, but I did have to grab a piece of the Cubbies here against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Walker, Quintana here. Alec Boehm props if you're interested. We've got Red Sox Rays as a pure pick. And then late night Glass now gets the ball at minus 310 up against the Cincinnati Reds. Total in that baseball game is 7.5. On the ice tonight, Canes, Rangers. I'm interested in playing the Rangers here, but maybe you take it to the props market. Panarin get involved here. Can the bread man close the door for the New York Rangers? This is a team right now, a 5.5 listed total. A minus 166 money line here for Carolina in Game 6 at home. They've won 2 in a row. A lot of people are very confident that this thing will just shift on back to New York. I'm less confident. Late night, Edmonton, Vancouver. That 6.5 is getting bet to the under. Minus 130 now we're seeing here. Minus 145 road favorite on the Edmonton Oilers. Tough game. Feels like a dog's night, though. A little bit in the ice. It does. We'll talk to Joe Madden at the top of the hour and get her thoughts, though, on the ice here. And I'm sure she'll have some props loaded up for us with Rangers, Canes, and then Oilers, Canucks. We're going to be talking to Coach James Young in just a couple of moments here. And again, we have to reset and re-rack the NBA, where your conference markets sit, and also talk some WNBA, because Caitlin Clark was not the only rookie who's made her debut, and there was one performance that stood out to me and provided a lot of optimism with what I saw. We will get to that after this quick break. Live with you, I'm Kevin Walsh on Game Time Decisions. Coach James Young is up next here on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions live on a Thursday night. Coach James Young is here. JY, happy to have you. I want to talk a little WNBA with you here. And we're going to get to Fever Liberty in just a moment. But Angel Reese made her debut for the Chicago Sky, and Cameron Brink made her debut for the LA Sparks. For me, the Angel Reese performance was one that put a lot of confidence in a plus 600 ticket that I have on her to average 15 a game. It's a long season. It was one game, but 12 points on 5 of 14 from the field and 2 of 8 from the line in just 26 minutes. There's a lot of growth there potentially on the table for Reese. Even just the free throw line, a 70% career free throw shooter at the collegiate level. I really do believe that Angel Reese, even as an outside shot at leading the Chicago Sky in scoring. I'm curious, Coach, what you've made of the rookies' non-Clark division and the debuts that we saw over the past few days.
Well, Caleb, we've seen struggles. And I think one thing people need to understand when you talk about the WNBA folks is it's completely different than the NBA, right? The seasons ended at the same time, obviously in college basketball, but you're talking about like Final Four, Sunday night, draft, Tuesday night, and then you're moving on. So to me, what you're going to see is you're going to see kids struggle early on. Why? Even Aaliyah Boston talked about it last year, Caleb. The speed of the game. Everything is just so much quicker, and you don't get a lot of time to get ready. There's no, like, WNBA Summer League or anything to kind of get them acclimated to better basketball. And I think people are a little naive, in fact, to think that these girls can go in and dominate. Now, Angel Reese, because of the fact that, one, I love the fact that they have Teresa Weatherspoon as the coach. Two, they've gotten rid of, like, Kalia Copper. They're young, right? You know, so she's going to get the attempts, the shot volume, because of the fact also, Caleb, she does a great job on the boards. So you can also look at Angel Reese points plus rebounds. Now, I went with Cameron Brink opening night myself, and the worry you have with Cameron Brink is foul trouble. She had foul trouble in one of the preseason games, had foul trouble, although it is 6 fouls fouled in WNBA rather than 5 in college. That's going to be a concern. Rakia Jackson, another one, should be some minutes for the Sparks. She's coming off the bench. Can't look to her. Caitlin Clark, we'll talk about. I think there's an intriguing case to look at Caitlin a couple of ways. One, I think we need the 3-point props to come out of the Steph Curry range, right? The 5+ made threes to find a way to plus money, 6+. We got to get away from that. I think you also got to look at the actual assist prop. Now, if you look at opening night for Caitlin Clark, obviously she turned the ball over a ton, right? 10 turnovers. But remember, folks, her usage rate is the same that it was in college, like 43%. That means shot, turnover, something. 43% of the time is with Caitlin Clark. So she's going to have the ball in her hands. Can she value possessions? And can they get that pick and roll going? Aaliyah Boston, only 6 shots opening night. Those two, and I saw you, K-Dub, with, I think, under points and rebounds with Aaliyah Boston opening night, was a really smart play, right? Just points. But it was a smart play because of Connecticut. I think as that pick and roll game goes together, you start be looking at Aaliyah Boston over her points with Caitlin Clark over her assists.
Well, I think right now, JY, Nalissa Smith is the scoring big in this front court here. You think about Aaliyah Boston, her prospects, a lot of it also tied to what she can do on the defensive end. They drew a really tough matchup, the Indiana Fever, at Connecticut, right? A team with a lot to prove, a team that has the best defense in the WNBA last year scoring-wise, and a 1-2 punch at Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner that obviously stepped up on opening night. Now, according to the books here, it gets more difficult in this game playing the New York Liberty. I want to go on the Liberty for a bit. Coach, I am completely out on this team. I think they have no chance to win the title, and it's going to take a world of impressive performances to convince me otherwise. I think you're on this Liberty team, though. So I'll quickly make my few bullet points here, or really my main bullet point. They lost the preseason game by 50. If you come off of a finals loss, and that's the first thing you show me, it tells me you're not locked in. It tells me you're not on a mission, and you're resting on your laurels. They didn't come close to covering against the Mystics. It was a huge fourth quarter. They needed just to avoid the double-digit upset, JY. I will not be on this Liberty team this season. I'm not on the number tonight, but if I was, I'd be taking the dog. But you like this Liberty team.
I do, because I think you turn around the next night to win 82-79 against the Connecticut Sun team, which, listen, let's be honest, they didn't play big minutes, any of the starters for either team. But I do believe in this Liberty team, because I'll tell you this much, K-Dub, pressure's on this team to win this year. Now, I think what the Liberty did is they struggled defensively, and I think that's where they tried to kind of go in the WNBA draft and kind of get athletic guards who can defend. So when you look at tonight, right, and you look at Caitlin Clark, I think the play is the assists. I think I saw on FanDuel a little while ago, 6+ assists was at a +102. I think this is someone that can get loose versus Vandersloot, who can get loose versus the Nescu. That could be the play for me is Caitlin Clark, 6+ assists plus money. Now, in regards to the Liberty, I compared the Liberty, ready, folks, to the Celtics. It ain't going to matter what they do they can win every game in the WNBA. It is when they get to the finals, if they get there, folks, versus, obviously, Vegas. Remember, folks, and I'm a Liberty. I like the Liberty. Love them. They beat the Liberty last year without Candace Parker. So don't sell me Candace Parker is gone and all of a sudden the Liberty is so much better. This is about the Liberty performing in a big spot, and this is about how we talk about Jason Tatum. We need to talk about Breanna Stewart. And I love Stewart, but she didn't look good opening night, only getting 8 points, 8 rebounds. But this is also a Breanna Stewart. The last time you saw her play in the playoffs last year, went 3 for 17 in an elimination game. Yikes. She's got to be better, kid up. A lot better in big spots.
Yeah, that's also the most slanderous thing anyone has said about Breanna Stewart, maybe I've ever heard. You just compared her to Jason Tatum. She's a 2-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP, 2-time league MVP.
And
now there's a lot of people in
Go ahead.
There's a lot of people in Boston who think Tatum's already done those things. He's done 0 of them.
Well, I agree.
So that was some Breanna Stewart slander.
Yeah, and listen, I'm gonna. This gets back to my buddy Kevin Lynch that runs the Philly Risers, he ain't going to be happy with me. So I'm sorry, Kevin. I wasn't trying to be mean. I'm talking about big spot in the finals. I need it then. I need it in an elimination game when you're down 2 games to 1. I need a huge performance. You can't go out on a 3 for 17. That's my point. But you're right. Should I be comparing Breanna Stewart to Jason Tatum? Absolutely not. But we have seen Jason Tatum also, folks, in big spots, in elimination games, come up a little bit small.
Wow. You're standing by it. 2-time Finals MVP, Breanna Stewart. Jason Tatum, one and the same. I mean, that's some Stewie erasure, folks. No, it's tough. Let me just give people the Clark breakdown again on the rebounds prop here, because this is where I truly believe the value is. You take a look at her freshman season at Iowa, 5.9 boards per game, 7+ the rest of the way. She actually averaged 8 rebounds a night in her sophomore season, and that's what we were seeing in the preseason, right? Again, I know it's a super small sample size, but if you take the 2 games that she played in the preseason on a per 32-minute basis, it was 5.9 rebounds per 32 minutes. And we're getting the rebounds prop for 4 at plus 120. And we're getting 6 rebounds. By the way, she had an 8-rebound game in the preseason at plus 430. So I'm going to climb the rebound ladder here tonight with Caitlin Clark in the home debut. Don't be surprised if she makes 6 threes. I'm just not sure there's a ton of value on that number. We go to the NBA next, live with you right here. Coach James Young sticking around on Game Time Decisions.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here, SportsGrid, it's Game Time Decisions. We go to the association as we've got Minnesota-Denver. And the Minnesota Timberwolves started out winning 6 in a row. They've now lost 3 straight. And all faith is gone. Nobody believes in Minnesota. Nobody thinks they can win this game. That's according to my ears. You go to the FanDuel percentage of spread bets, Denver 77%. Percentage of money, 73%, all on Denver. And a lot of that might be coaches. JY, you love these Nuggets here tonight. Tell me why.
I just think, listen, I don't like Draymond Green. In fact, I hate his guts. But he made a good point when he watched Cat walk off the floor, limping and hobbling like he can't walk after he played a ton of minutes. I feel like Minnesota got their soul snatched, and I think the what Michael Malone did, doubling Anthony Edwards as much as he did to get the ball out of Ant's hands and made other people beat him, was a brilliant move. We'll see what Coach Finch has up his sleeve tonight. The other thing that I saw is, I honestly saw, and I don't know if he was disinterested. I don't know if it was the defense. But, Kevin, you got to admit, there's been a completely different Joker since Game 2. And he has absolutely went to town on Rudy Gobert. Now, you can look at Rudy Gobert has done better defensively early on. Last game, 8 of 9. And I'm a post coach. The moves he was putting on Rudy, what do you call it, Kevin? Put him in a blender? Put him in a spin cycle? Whatever he did, he wanted to do it. And I think what you're going to see tonight is this. You're going to see Joker start to go off early. You're going to see Finch bench Rudy, go to Naz Reid, and bring double teams. And literally look at them and say, anybody but Joker. He can't get 34. He can't get 40. He's got to get 25 or less. We're going to make Joker do it other ways, and that lines up a Joker triple-double as other guys make shots tonight.
So I think that would be a disaster, and if that's their game plan, then I agree Denver's going to win by roughly $1 billion. Nikola Jokic averaged 4.3 assists per game against the Timberwolves from the regular season. He's averaging 9.2 a game in this series. Listen, I know sometimes things become like too popular and becomes too easy, but what UConn did against Purdue, here, Edie, you can score 35. It doesn't matter. But the problem with the situation right now in Denver, Gobert's getting cooked one-on-one. Of course he is. Have you ever seen Nikola Jokic play? Send Rudy on the double and let Cat guard him. Cat's not going to double as effectively. He's not as smart of a defender. He's not as long of a defender. He's not as good of a defender. But if you're dead to rights one-on-one against Jokic, then stop putting Rudy on an island. Teams have been doing this is what Utah did. Stop putting people on an island against Jokic. The Lakers did it with Anthony Davis. How'd that go? Badly. It doesn't work. You can't guard him one-on-one. He is an all-time great offensive player. So, I mean, listen, if they say here's 15 assists for Nikola Jokic, this is going to get real ugly. Very, very ugly. But I guess we will see. What are you thinking props-wise here tonight, Coach?
Well, I think he's getting the assist, so I'm going for Joker to go over his assist prop tonight because I do think he's going to try and say, we can't let him. Here's the thing, Kevin, you make a good point. You can just say, go get 50. The difference between Edie and Joker is Joker can do it at the low post, at the pinch, at the top of the key. It's wherever he wants to go. So to me, I think you can't say he gets 40 or he gets 9 assists. Pick your poison. I think he gets the 9 assists tonight because I think they're in a limited scoring and say, I want someone else to beat me. I like the Joker to go over his assist prop tonight. Over 9 of the last 15, 9 out of 17, so roughly 50% versus the Timberwolves. I think Finch is going to panic. And if you want to correlate, if you say, if there's a double team coming, who could be the guy to get shots? To me, it actually could be Michael Porter Jr. because that's the guy I'm going to leave alone. So Michael Porter Jr. over 13.5 at plus money right now is something that I would be taking a look at. And how about just, I'm not Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon? And then Aaron Gordon just to make a 3. minus 130.
Okay.
So,
thank God. Okay, thank God. All right, we all say the wrong name.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. But I just did have a mini panic attack that you just told me the plan was to leave Porter Jr. alone.
No, my bad.
Leaving
That's
Aaron.
my fault. I was too excited. Aaron Gordon.
Can I tell you
leave
this?
him alone. Make a 3.
I have a Porter Jr. 13.5 points. Coach, if you could send that game plan in, I'd be all about it. I'd be all about it. MPJ's leave. Here's the thing, man. MPJ shoots it whether he's alone or not. So if you actually leave him alone, those shots are going up. I want to ask you about Donovan Mitchell after this break. So let me just quickly, state of the West right now. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that Denver's already now had their toughest challenge and Dallas or Oklahoma City would be drawing dead in a conference finals?
If it's Dallas, they're going to be in for it because they just got to find a way to get. I don't know what's up with Kyrie. I don't know if he's just like settling, but to me, what I was impressive about Dallas last night is down 8-2 early. Instead of Luka just taking the game over, create. Here's a quarter 3 for Jones. Create. Here's a wing 3 for Jones. They got Jones going a little bit. I think they could pose some problems because if Kyrie's right and Luka's going, those are 2 guys that are going to be hard to stop. I think Dallas could actually give them a series.
What is next for Donovan Mitchell? Would the Knicks ever want him after they used to want him? We'll answer that on the other side. Uh-oh.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Pendrith ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, before we let Coach James Young get out of here, we did see the finishing off of the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was quite unceremonious. No Donovan Mitchell, no Jared Allen. And the Cleveland Cavaliers offseason is set up to be one of the most interesting of all time. I know this, again, being self-aware, I try and do it to the best of my ability. I love all the rumors. I love all the scenarios. I buy in a little. Every draft night, it doesn't matter the sport. I'm like, man, there's going to be 14 trades, right? Shout out Peter Schrager, all those trades he told me were coming. Those did not come. That's fine. But the Cavs have 3 different stars on the block, and they might fire their coach. Something is happening this offseason in Cleveland, if not a bunch of things. So, Coach, I'm curious. The big one is Donovan Mitchell. Do you believe he is going to exit the Cavaliers organization this offseason?
Yes. I think he's gone. I think he's gone, and he's going to try and do it as gracefully as possible. I don't know how. And there will be teams that will line up. Obviously, there's talk about the Lakers lining up. Obviously, there's talk about maybe Miami. Brooklyn would be a good destination because of the fact that he wants to return home. I don't see the Knicks fit. I know people want that with Brunson. I don't see the fit because I've been on this network, and Kevin, you know I've said this. I told people from the day this trade happened, 2 small scoring guards don't work together in the NBA. So if Garland and Donovan Mitchell aren't going to work, what makes people think that Brunson and Donovan Mitchell are going to work? I think Donovan Mitchell is gone, but if he is gone or he does stay, that sets up Darius Garland to come back. By the way, shout out Darius Garland. Talking about going out in your sword, 4 for 17. Like what? 1 for 8 in the second half. And you guys were in the game going into the second half, and you lay an egg. I think he's gone, and I'll say this right now, and I know we'll get to this in a second, but I'm just going to bring it up anyway. Those players quit on J.B. Bickerstaff. To have Jared Allen not only miss the entire series, but miss a Game 7 in which all you got to do supposedly is take a shot and put like a flak jacket on to protect your rib, he didn't want to play. Donovan Mitchell, last 2 games, I'm all right, I'm good. I don't want to play. You know, you look at Karis LeVert. He didn't want to play. People are sitting there trashing Tibbs that he plays his guys too much. Those guys, I mean, Julius Randle got surgery 4 months ago, and he tried to play through it for his coach. I've seen kids and people go south on coaches. I've been on a staff that happened like this. Those guys went south on J.B. Bickerstaff. As soon as that series went 2-1, it was a wrap. They were done.
I think what's odd about that, though, is why would that be the case? 2-1 going into Game 4, that series was not over by any stretch of the imagination. Donovan Mitchell was on an absolute heater. If Donovan wanted to quit, he could have easily quit in the first round and got the whole thing done with. And I think Jared Allen, you know, players turning on him, right? I think that's an ugly look. I think, if anything, it just tells me Jared Allen's going to go. But I also think if we believe that these guys didn't play because they quit on Bickerstaff, then moving on from Bickerstaff is probably your only option.
Oh, he's gone.
Unless all the key guys are gone other than Mobley. Mobley's going nowhere.
No.
Mobley's going nowhere. But Garland's on the block, Allen's on the block, and Mitchell decides his own fate. Realistically, if you're Cleveland, you could reset this entire roster this offseason very easily, remain competitive, and have an outlook for the future. And if I'm the Cavs, I'm okay with doing that, assuming 2 things. You get a fair value for Donovan Mitchell, and LeBron tells you he's not coming. But if you can check those 2 boxes, then that's what you do. And, Coach, right now, do you have a favorite landing spot for Donovan Mitchell?
I got a feeling he's going to end up in the Lakers. I feel like he's going to Lakers.
Wow.
Lakers are getting someone. I think he's getting someone. And here's the thing. Wait a minute. You got to fire J.B. Bickerstaff. You tanked. And this should all be fired. You tanked the 2 or 3 seed to get the 4 to play Boston? That should all be fired. I'm running the team. K-Dub's the coach. Sammy Arnell's the assistant. Game over. See you tomorrow. Only on SportsGrid.
NHL playoffs next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome in, Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh with you here on SportsGrid. It's a Thursday night, and there's plenty for us to get to, including Hurricanes, Rangers. Helping us break it down, that's Joe Madden. Joe, let's get right into it here. Huge game for this series because Carolina is expected to win as a favorite. And with the way we've seen this series priced, I think Carolina would be favored in Game 7. Slightly, but they would still be favored. Rangers have won in this building already in this series. Do you think they'll win here tonight?
I think the Rangers have every possibility of winning here tonight, Kevin. You look at this series, and I don't think the Rangers have ever been a favorite in these matchups. The Carolina Hurricanes, while they are elite out there on the ice, to carry that momentum from the last two games and win a third game in a row is going to be a lot to ask of this team. Now, they have every possibility of doing it, but the plus money on the Rangers is too much for me to look past in this one. I'm expecting Igor Shesterkin to really step up. We've seen those last two games, him be vulnerable out there, and the Carolina Hurricanes hit him. Now, those shots on goal haven't been coming as strong for Carolina, but I do expect in another elimination game here for Carolina to absolutely get those shots on Igor Shesterkin like we saw in game 1, 2, and 3 of this series. So I'm going to take Igor Shesterkin over 30.5 shots, save shots on goal in this one, expecting Carolina to put at least 45 on him. I'm then going to look at the New York Rangers straight up on the money line. Like I said, too much value here for me to shy away from. Now, one thing Carolina has been doing so well at is they've been killing off the power play for the New York Rangers. For the Rangers to win tonight, they need to come out strong on this power play. I think you look here at Adam Fox, the offensive defenseman, to come out here and get a point. Now, I expect this to come on the power play. Over on FanDuel, you could only get his point coming in at minus 122. It is a safer way to go, but if you can get the power play point over on your book, I would look at the power play point because I expect it to come there. This power play has to click for the Rangers to be able to win this one tonight, and Igor Shesterkin has to stand on his head. So let's go Rangers, Kevin.
Yeah, listen, this Rangers team, they need to make it happen here. Are there any other props that you were considering? I had a Kreider shots on goals prop the other night. Which game was that? Was it game 5? Maybe game 4? One of the two? I feel Kreider scoring, but you know this, Joe, when it comes to me in the hockey, all vibes, right? It just feels like Kreider perhaps could help this team here tonight that was held to just one goal. Anything else catching your attention for this game that's going to have the puck drop shortly?
Yeah, I definitely would circle Chris Kreider there to come out and get that anytime goal. I'd also look at Panarin. Both of those players really need to step up.
Okay.
The Redman, he needs to get things done. So circling Panarin for the goal and Chris Kreider for the goal. If you think one of them is going to be hot, because Kevin, we saw last night with Colorado, it was Cale Makar that came out hot. Nathan McKinnon also able to get a goal. Cale Makar had 2, and you look at these big names, Chris Kreider and Panarin, and you think, one of them is going to step up like we saw out of the Avs last night. So whichever one you have more faith in, circle them for their points as well. 2+ points I'd look at.
Maybe a Rangers team total even here tonight as we just kind of talk this out. All right, let's get to Vancouver, Edmonton. Swing game, 2-2. Edmonton favored to take a lead back home, but will not be easy here. This Canucks team just continues to battle, Joe. Total 6.5. What do you like?
I'm looking at Vancouver in this one. I love the home dog in this, and I do think Vancouver's going to feel like their backs are up against the wall after Edmonton did win that last game, and especially in the fashion that they won it in. Vancouver did take the tie there late in that third period, and Evan Bouchard able to answer back within seconds. It felt like Vancouver didn't even get time to really comprehend the fact that that game was tied and was going to go to overtime before Evan Bouchard answered back. So I think the frustration level will be there for Vancouver. They know they can't go back to Edmonton for game 6 with with the Edmonton Oilers up a game on them. So I am thinking Vancouver can get the win here. Now, we look at goaltending here, Kevin, and Calvin Pickard, I don't want to take anything away from him. He played phenomenal. The defense really stepped up for Edmonton in that last game. Vancouver, their coach, Rick Tocchet, called them out. If Elias Pettersson doesn't step up, if JT Miller doesn't step up, I will be shocked because these players didn't have their names called, but they absolutely know that Rick Tocchet was talking about them. So I'm looking for Vancouver to step up offensively, get more shots on Calvin Pickard. And that's where the concern comes for me with Edmonton. While he did fantastic in that last game, he got all the support in the world. And you look at him over his 15-year career, he's only played in 5 playoff games, and that one in the last game was his first on NHL ice. So I think there's going to be a little bit of regression for Calvin Pickard out there. Vancouver to get the win. I'm going to circle Elias Pettersson for that anytime goal. That's coming in with some plus money as well. But I do think I would lean to this one going over that total if I had to take away, because I do think Vancouver steps up in this one, Kevin. There's so many other amazing bets you can take. I actually found one that's plus 213 for Vancouver to get more shots on goal than Edmonton. If you can bet it on your book, it's a really interesting look because I do expect Vancouver to come out with that urgency offensively in this one. We know Edmonton is so strong offensively, but I think Vancouver might sneak it out tonight, get the more shots on goal.
All right, something to keep eyes on there. We are going to get to the baseball in just a minute, but I want to let people know up next we are going to do a little NFL schedule release talk, and I'm reminded by that because, Joe, a Chargers fan, and the Chargers are at their best during the schedule release. But, Joe, let me ask you about the Red Sox and the Rays here. First pitch in just a couple of moments, and this game's a straight-up pick for an AL East battle.
I'm looking at the Tampa Bay Rays team total, Kevin, and this one I'm going to take it under that 3.5. That coming in with a little bit of plus money at plus 110. The Red Sox will be starting Cooper Criswell, and he looked phenomenal so far to start the season with a 2.10 ERA. I just struggle to see Tampa, who's offensively been struggling as of late, to be able to put a lot of runs on the board. Now, I do expect this full game to be a lower scoring one, but it's Tampa that I trust the least here coming out. So I'm going to take them for their team total to the under.
All right, little team total under action there. Joe, any action at Wrigley tonight with the Cubs hosting the Pirates?
Yeah, I'm looking at Jared Jones to come out nice and strong here for the Pirates and get those strikeouts on the board. I'm taking him for 7+ strikeouts. You're getting plus money at that. So I have extended his number up a little bit. That's coming in at plus 134. He has had 7 or more strikeouts in 6 of his last 8 games. And we know the Cubs can get those strikeouts on the board. So nice and easy one. Just over 7 or 7+ strikeouts here, Kevin.
All right, little strikeout prop. Joe, I'm on the under in this Astros Athletics game. What do you see here?
I love that you're on the under. I'm on the same page with this one. I think the A's actually have the opportunity to pull off a win with Joey Estes getting the start here. But if they're able to win it, it's going to be a lower scoring one. I'm shocked that this total, Kevin, was at a 9. I expected a 7.5 or an 8 in this one. So with the rookie Joey Estes coming out so phenomenally strong to start here for the A's, I do expect the limited runs to come in this. We know the Astros have been struggling offensively, and Javier coming out here for the Astros, while he doesn't have an elite ERA, his strikeout ability is strong, and he'll be able to get those strikeouts on the A's as well.
And then the closeout game tonight, Joe. Dodgers and Glass now, huge favorites as anticipated. Did you find some value in the game?
I did. I looked at Tyler Glass now for his under on his strikeouts, and I hate to do it. I just think 8.5 is a little too high. And yes, we look at him in his last 4 games. He's hit 10 in 3 of those and 9 in another. But the strikeout props have been lower numbers. The last time he was given an 8.5 number was versus the Washington Nationals. He was only able to record 5 strikeouts on that day. I think this is a competitive game, one where you could take Glass now to record the win, but I'm just not buying into over 8.5 strikeouts. I think that hits right on the 8, Kevin.
All right, looking for a little late night under action. Joe, appreciate the breakdowns as always with big games tonight in the NHL playoffs and, of course, still the baseball board needing the attention. We'll talk a little football next, though, right here on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Game Time Decisions. And, I mean, what kind of show would we be if we didn't do a little NFL schedule release? I mean, come on now. We're doing it all here on Thursday. We have Preakness coming up. How about that? You can expect a little Preakness action. Sneaks up on you. It always does. But let's do a little NFL schedule. I figure we hit the primetime games. Just get eyes on some lines. We got totals as well. Thursday night, the defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, they host the Baltimore Ravens. And I love that they went for a game like this to start it out. Again, last year, a lot of Lions fans were upset that I didn't like that it was Kansas City and Detroit to start. And sure, good for Detroit. They won the football game 21-20. I got you. But we're dealing with a touchdown plus line to start the season. Here, we're under a field goal at Arrowhead. It's interesting. Despite the Super Bowl win, this is a number that we would have seen last year. Maybe a touch shorter, but you think back, we saw the Chiefs under a field goal against the Eagles at home, loss. Under a field goal at home up against the Buffalo Bills, loss. It's tempting for me, and not tempting now, but when we're breaking this down in September, to be on the Chiefs at whatever the number, as long as we're under a field goal. Back-to-back seasons, Kansas City opens with a loss in their own building. It's a tough sell. Keep Hollywood Brown in mind. You'll hear more about this as this game will be getting closer and closer, especially if Rashee Rice is suspended. But a revenge angle playing against Baltimore. I'm high on Hollywood coming into this season. I hope we get season-long props for him. I really believe he could lead Kansas City in yards this season. He already has 1,000-yard season under his belt. Obviously, the best offense he will have ever played in will be this season in Kansas City. And Hollywood Brown has more pedigree than Rashee Rice. So there's no reason that he can't beat out Rice for touches, especially if Rice is suspended. And we know you have an aging Travis Kelce, maybe misses a game or two. I really think Hollywood Brown has a big, big year for the Kansas City Chiefs. Friday, prime time in Brazil. Eagles, Packers. What caught my eye was this 47.5. Our next game has a much higher total. Are we sure we have much better offenses? These are two offense-first teams, especially Green Bay, with how they broke out and everything played out for Jordan Love, really hitting his stride. A lot of people believe he enters this upcoming season as one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league. But it's Jalen Hurts who held the crown as the best quarterback in the conference heading into last season and for a good portion of the year. But the Eagles ended the season in complete disaster. Odd that they get it started in Brazil, but this is a team that made moves to uptick the offense, specifically running back, bringing in Saquon Barkley. Can't wait to see what the Saquon touchdown numbers look like. Due to Jalen Hurts, we could see discounts. The idea is tush, push, I got you, but one, Kelce retired. If anything could slow it down, that would be it. And also, there's going to be a desire to prove the Saquon deal worth it. I think from up top with Roseman and Lurie, I think from their head coach Sirianni, and I think there's a world where Jalen Hurts wants to get more opportunities on the board for a guy like Saquon Barkley. Saquon commands that type of workload. This 47.5 pales in comparison to our Sunday nighter. Little Stafford and a little Goff, a little Rams, a little Lions. Detroit at home, a field goal and a half favored. 51.5 is a big number. For me, if I'm going to see a week one number in the 50s, I'm probably going to play it under. We think back to the playoff game between Detroit and the Rams, and if memory serves, it should have got there, but it didn't. That's just what happens sometimes when you deal with totals like this, and it's incredible to look back on the postseason, even just briefly. A lot of people believe the Rams should have beat the Lions. They didn't. And a lot of people believe the Lions should have beat the Niners, but they didn't. But if 1 + 2 = 3, you're telling me an LA Rams team last year could have came out of the conference, a team that had massively long odds to even make the postseason? Again, much less win the conference. The Rams' expectations year over year have changed a ton. And that's just predicated on Matthew Stafford being healthy. That and the fact that Puka Nacua was unbelievable and Kyron Williams broke out and Sean McVay is as good as ever. Don't forget, though, the Rams will be without their best player. Arguably their best player in franchise history, because Aaron Donald is arguably the greatest defensive player this league has seen, and he did retire this past offseason. The primetime Week 1 schedule finishes out in the Bay with the Niners hosting the Jets. 6.5-point spread. That's some respect. It is for the New York Jets. Maybe it's a lack of respect for the Niners. It's going to be interesting to see. But you've definitely have some revenge angles if you want. I mean, Robert Saleh doesn't need to have revenge against the Niners. He left to get a head coaching position. But I'm sure he'd love to show up Kyle Shanahan and have his defense put on an ace's performance. And don't forget last year, that Jets defense against all the best quarterbacks had great performances. Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, none could find success against this Jets defense. And for Aaron Rodgers offensively, don't expect him to come out guns blazing. I mean, the 1.5 passing touchdowns, if we're getting plus money, yeah, I'll be interested in it. But Rodgers, even at his best in Green Bay, if he could, he'd sit on a lead. He'd take his time. And for the Jets, this is not about Rodgers' statistics at all. It's not about Garrett Wilson breaking out. This is about wins. Everything about this team this year is about wins. And if that means playing it conservative and slow and close to the vest, it could play under the 45.5. The last point on this is I cannot wait for our first look at the Christian McCaffrey price to score a touchdown. And what type of streak could we get from CMC to start anew? Because it was one of the big themes for last year. It was one of the things that pushed McCaffrey into the front-runner position to win Offensive Player of the Year as he did. And will McCaffrey be able to hold up over a full season with the type of workload that he gets with the San Francisco 49ers? All valid questions that we'll try and answer throughout this offseason. And before you know it, it'll be September 9th, and we're breaking down Niners-Jets and recapping what will definitely be a wild week one. Will it be a wild weekend at the Preakness? We'll find out. We'll break it down next. Keep it right here. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on a Thursday night. It is Game Time Decisions. Joined now by David Aragona to talk a little Preakness here. And David, appreciate you making some time as we get set for another big weekend of racing.
Yeah, happy to come on, talk about the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown.
And I think, of course, you allude to the Triple Crown there. All eyes will be on Mystic Dan. Stunned people at the Kentucky Derby. What do you make of his chances here at the Preakness?
Well, his chances definitely increased with the news that broke yesterday morning that the horse that was installed as the early favorite, Muth, is not going to run in the race. He came up with a temperature upon shipping to Baltimore, so he's been withdrawn from the race. I think there was a lot of expectation that Bob Baffert, who is a polarizing character in horse racing, was going to come in with some fresh horses because his horses were banned from the Kentucky Derby. He's been banned for a few years since Medina Spear, the 2021 Kentucky Derby winner of his, was disqualified for a drug overage after the race. And Bob Baffert, having not competed in the Kentucky Derby, I think there was expectation a fresh horse like Muth would be a real rival for Mystic Dan. But without him participating in the race, I think it makes Mystic Dan the horse to beat. He only won the Kentucky Derby by a nose. It was a close decision, but the two horses that finished in closest attendance to him at the finish line are not back for this race. So it's definitely an easier task for him.
Can you just tell me as to why some of those horses wouldn't be in the mix here? Is that just not ready to go, qualifying? How does that work?
So one of the difficult parts of the Triple Crown is that you've got these 3 races run within a 5-week span, and the Preakness is just 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby. And typically at the highest levels of racing, trainers like to have at minimum 4 weeks between races so the horses have ample time to recover from the effort and then get some training in so they can gauge how they're doing before they get to the next race. With the Preakness being run just 2 weeks after the Derby, there really isn't too much time for training between the 2 races. There's just that recovery period, and then you race again. So that's what makes the Triple Crown so difficult to win.
Yeah, it makes it interesting then. And when you take a look with Mystic Dan now kind of moving up this leaderboard, but he didn't have these short odds to win the Kentucky Derby. Of course, that's, a present mind for everybody, but does it create some value behind Mystic Dan then potentially for horse bettors?
Yeah, that's one of the difficulties for me as someone who's going to bet the race. I was not on the Mystic Dan bandwagon heading into the Kentucky Derby, didn't have him at 18-1. So now he's probably going to be the favorite. I'm not somebody who wants to jump on the bandwagon now at a much shorter price. So I'm trying to look for some other options in this race. The horse who finished closest to him in the Kentucky Derby that's back in this field is the number 3, Catching Freedom, and I think he's got a decent chance to turn the tables. Mystic Dan has pressure on him to run back in the Preakness and overcome that 2-week turnaround because he's the Kentucky Derby winner, and now it's sort of incumbent on his connections to try for the Triple Crown. Catching Freedom didn't have to be in this race. He bounced out of the Derby really well. It's not his trainer, Brad Cox's MO to run back in 2 weeks. So I think he's running back here because he's just a horse that's been thriving coming out of the Kentucky Derby. He only finished just over a length behind Mystic Dan in the Derby. So I don't think it's going to take that much for him to turn the tables at what will be a better price this time.
And due to what looks to me as a much shorter field, then, are you more willing or less willing then to kind of shoot down the board for the long shots that people are always encaptured by when it comes to horse betting?
Yeah, I think it's a much better idea to go price shopping in a race like the Kentucky Derby where you've got 20 horses and there just are inevitably going to be some bigger prices that fall through the cracks. Mystic Dan was one of those horses in the Derby. The Preakness Stakes, it's a smaller field. There are going to be 8 runners starting as long as there are no more scratches. And I would say that 3 to 4 of them are a little tougher to make a case for. You probably have a quartet of main players in this race, and it would be a much bigger upset if one of the longest prices on the board won this race as opposed to the Kentucky Derby.
And then does that change the strategy? More exactas and things of that nature then when you're trying to bet this race?
Yeah, so for me, I'm not going to be doing a lot of spreading in the Preakness. I'm going to try to hone in on a couple of horses. For me, those would be Catching Freedom, who I just mentioned, as well as the number 8, Tuscan Gold. He's a horse coming in for Chad Brown, who's one of the top trainers in horse racing. And he's won the Preakness before with horses that are very similar in profile to Tuscan Gold. He's one of those that skipped the Kentucky Derby, ran well in one of the Kentucky Derby prep races, but just didn't quite have the qualifying points to make the Derby field. So now he's coming into the Preakness fresh, a lightly raced horse that still has upside. So I think he's one that has the potential to be a thorn in the side of Mystic Dan.
It's going to be really interesting to play out, and we're going to get the chance to talk to David on Saturday as well, and we'll see if there's any other news that kind of starts to shift things heading into the Preakness. David, appreciate your time. We'll talk this weekend.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
All right, great stuff there, getting people set for the second leg of that Triple Crown. We'll update people on your live board. Slow start here between the Fever and the Liberty, and the update on the PGA Championship. That's all next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendricks ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here, it's Game Time Decisions. We're with you on SportsGrid. There's plenty of live action, but we have to talk PGA Championship. Sometimes a little behind the scenes. I always want to talk to Brady Cannon about the golf, but it was a busy night. There's a lot going on. If things were tight at the top, not super interesting, we could save it for the weekend. The weekend conversations are always my favorite. Then Xander went 9 under to open this thing up, and Scotty holed out on his first shot. I was like, okay, make sure Brady's free, please. And luckily, because he's the best, Brady Cannon is free. Brady, how are you? A wild opening start here to the PGA Championship.
Yeah, I was traveling all day, Kevin, and kind of just watching on my phone and seeing Xander pile up birdie after birdie. And, of course, I have him pre-tournament to win this week. And, our friend Sam behind the glass there and a few others at SportsGrid joined me and bet Xander to win first-round leader as well. So it's not quite over yet, but barring a miracle, we're going to cash that ticket. So a great start for Xander Schauffele and all of us. But, yeah, I got here to the hotel room and I flip on the TV and Scotty holes out his first shot from the fairway. I was like, oh my goodness. And that 9 under par didn't look so safe anymore for the first round lead, but that was pretty darn cool. And Jim Nance was great when he asked Dottie Pepper. He said, no pun intended, Dottie, was that a baby 9, like a soft 9 iron, And so, yeah, a baby 9 indeed for Scotty Scheffler to hole it for eagle on number 1.
I was with Donnie Rightside on radio. We were in commercial, and the scream that Donnie let out, I assume the Eagles traded for Pat Mahomes, quite frankly. I mean, it was the only justification. I think the start for Scotty was as surprising. So here is what I decided to do, Brady. And I am not overly proud of it for whatever reason, but I kind of have boxed myself in. After Scotty eagled, and I don't know, maybe he maybe bogeyed the fifth, and I was sat there, and it was plus 240 Xander, plus 270 Scotty, and you know these sports books here, they have all their boosts, and I just put one of them on Xander and one of them on Scotty. I really believe Xander closes, but the only thing that could get in his way is Scotty being on the run of a lifetime. So I'm kind of done, and all I can really do is add more bets on to Xander and Scotty here. I know they're not great numbers. The boosts help a bit. But truly, I just think Xander's too good of a golfer to not close again off of a start like this. I really believe Schauffele wins. Scheffler's my protection, if you will, Brady.
Well, I don't know why you're disappointed with what you have there in pocket. That sounds like a pretty good plan to me. I mean, Scotty was certainly the biggest threat to that first-round leader ticket we had. I think he's probably still maybe arguably the biggest threat in this tournament to Schauffele. But Don't forget about Rory McIlroy. I mean, he comes off of that stellar Sunday round at the Wells Fargo, and he's only 4 shots back of Xander at 5 under par. Rory, uncharacteristically, was awful off the tee today. He lost almost a stroke and a half in strokes gained off the tee, and that's really the strength of his game. So you wonder, or you would guess that is going to correct itself, but will his putting hold up and his work around the greens? He was very good in that regard. You wonder if maybe those kind of swap places there. The work off the tee, I would think, has to improve. Tony Finau was very interesting, too. He comes in not very good form at all. His putting has been awful this season, and, he putts lights out today. But he, too, normally a pretty good player off the tee who has a lot of distance, did not fare well off the tee today. So those were odd to see, a couple of guys that are normally really good off the tee, not so fantastic, and especially in the case of Finau, were really good with the putter. You wonder what the future holds for those two, but I like your position. I mean, I think you've probably, if you look at the adjusted odds, they're still playing out there at Valhalla as we speak.
Yeah.
But if you look at the adjusted odds after this round is complete, I imagine Xander and Scotty are going to be 1 and 2 on the board. Rory's probably going to be right there. I love my guy Brooks Koepka. I had him pre-tournament, and he came on strong at the end to finish 4 under par. So he's obviously still in this race as well.
Yeah, I guess, I think part of my shame, I feel, right? I don't care. If I win, right? But it's a sport. The outright board, it's full of big tickets, right? And you always want to time your bets appropriately. But it's truly, I really, really believe Xander wins.
I hope you're right.
We look at Scotty, but the thing is, I guess let me hone in on Xander for a second. We all know he's incredible, right? I mean, it's accepted. He's one of the, let's call it, 6 best golfers in the world, conservatively. He's playing super well, so he's in form. And, when we say a guy can't close, you look back at the Wells Fargo, right? Oh, he can't close. He was a shot up on Rory Dan McIlroy, who went out of his mind on Sunday. I'm not going to hold that over Xander, but also, eventually a guy like Schauffele is going to close here, Brady, and I really believe the time is now. If you told me I could only place one bet, again, I know it's such a short number, and we've only finished the first quarter. I love how you always describe it like that, but we finished the first quarter, and one of the best teams in the NBA is up by 22 points.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Kevin, and it's part of the reason I bet on Xander Schauffele pre-tournament to win this thing. The guy is, and I would argue he's better than top 6. He might be top 3 in the world. He is outstanding, and he's had 8 top 10 finishes just this year. And you're exactly right about what happened at the Wells Fargo. Xander didn't lose that tournament. He shot a better number than most people in the field that day, which was even par. He didn't play that poorly. He just got steamrolled by a round, like you say, that was out of this world. A 65 that really should have been a 63. That was a complete outlier performance by Rory that nobody would have been able to hold up against. He also was beaten earlier this year by another outlier performance that nobody would have been able to hold up against when Scotty caught him at the Players' Championship, shot an 8-under 64 on Sunday to catch Xander, who also had the 54 lead heading in 54-hole lead heading into that Sunday at the Players' Championship. So, I think people on the surface get the wrong perception. Now, yeah, sure, he has a reputation, and deservedly so, about not being able to close, but there have been many times in his career, I want to say 3 or 4, when he has closed with a 54-hole lead.
Yep.
And he didn't exactly lose these 2 tournaments. He was beaten by otherworldly type performances.
I think it's such a good point. Again, I don't even want to use another name, but so he got beat because Rory, you said he's a top 3, right? Yeah, and then 1 and 2 had great Sundays. Like, you can live with that. But
sure.
That's also why I placed the Scotty bet, right?
Yeah, I think it's great protection. He's going to be there. He made that shot today, and then he kind of just coasted the rest of the way, never did anything too fantastic. But you watch, and that could be the rust and the fatigue and all the things we've been talking about. You watch. By the time we get to the weekend, he'll be Scotty again, and he'll be right there. I mean, if this guy doesn't finish top 10, I'd be thoroughly surprised.
I couldn't agree more. And we're going to get to the rest of the guys in just a moment here. But I think the fact that Scotty playing the rest of the round 2 under is disappointing speaks to who this guy is and the form that he's in. And it wouldn't stun me if the 17-hole window outside of the Eagle is his worst run, because I think we had questions of what was Scotty Scheffler going to look like with just a little bit more time off than some of the other guys. And his immediate answer is, I'm the best guy in this field. Don't ever question it. But let's get into Rory. Let's get into Koepka. Let's get into this guy, Colin Morikawa. I mean, his name's going to be in the mix every single one of these. We're going to keep Brady here and continue to talk about the PGA Championship next.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here, Game Time Decisions. I just came up with a question, and then, Brady, we'll get off the Xander-Scotty thing. It's just and I know they're different golfers, and I know Scotty's been closing every tournament. If I gave Scotty Xander's lead, like if I remove Xander from the field entirely, and Scotty right now was sat, I know that's part of the equation, but what would Scotty Scheffler look like right now if he shot a 9-under on the opening day and the next closest golfer was at -6?
I think the tournament would be over. He'd probably be minus money in the adjusted odds. He'd probably be -110, maybe -125. I'm not an odds maker. Maybe he's -150 after one day.
Yeah.
Now Xander, I think you were saying in the live market he's a little better. He's maybe +250 or something like that.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. But I wonder what golfers on tour would tell you from this side of the window, if you will, from the handicapping and the betting side. There's probably a fairly decent margin between Xander and Scotty. I mean, there's Scotty Scheffler and there's kind of everybody else in the world, Rory, Brooks, Rahm, Xander. All those guys are top 10 players in the world, if not top 5. But I think there is a separation with Scotty. And it's not necessarily the putter or this certain skill set. It's just he never makes the big mistake. I mean, when's the last time you saw him make a double bogey? When's the last time you saw him miss a fairway? He doesn't miss that many greens. He just doesn't really go sideways. And, the other side of the coin is he typically doesn't go completely the other direction. And he's not like a Mickelson where it's a roller coaster and he lights up a scorecard. It's just consistency. It's a slow death. Death by paper cuts is the way Scotty gets everybody. And, it's it's fairway after fairway, green after green. He holds a putt every now and then. And the next thing you know, he shot 65. And he does that for 3 or 4 days in a row and everybody else is dead.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the things that keeps the Xander number where it is that Scotty's in the field, in the mix.
Yep.
Scotty is so I think he's done.
And
Scotty's
Brooks
at +400.
and Rory, there's some other big names in there too.
Oh, 100%. But Scotty's at +400. Brooks is at 14-1. They shot the same score today.
Yeah,
this is always the thing.
That's why I told you the gap between these guys, right?
It's remarkable, but that's. If I removed Scott, like let's just say Scotty, Wright, wife, whatever, wasn't in this field, Xander instead of +240s, +170, give or take, probably.
Yeah.
But you have to hold things back when the best player in the world shot a respectable number to open things up. Again, we move beyond that. What do you think of the Brookses, the Collins, Tagala, DeChambeau's at 35? Who else is interesting to you right now?
I really like the way Morikawa played. He is currently 9th in this field for strokes gained putting, which is obviously pretty darn good, but it's not crazy. It's not like he's number 1 or number 2. The putter didn't necessarily carry him. The one thing that worries me a little bit is his strokes gained approach was not really spot on. It was about average, and that's the strength of his game. So is driving accuracy, which was great, and that's one of the reasons I liked him pre-tournament. He doesn't have quite the length of all these guys. He doesn't have the length of Koepka or Schauffele or Rory, some of the bombers, Bryson DeChambeau certainly. He's not that short. I mean, he still hits at about 295 off the tee, which is pretty long. But when you're playing on a wet, soft golf course, if you're an errant player off the tee and you're going to be finding this rough all day, and you're short, then that's going to be trouble. Now, Morikawa is a little bit shorter, but he always finds the fairway, and he's typically a great iron player. So the putter maybe carried him a little bit today, but he's been putting fantastically. It's not a characteristic he has shown throughout his career, but his last 3 stroke play events, he's gained strokes on the field with the putter, and he did so at Augusta National last month as well when he finished 3rd. So I think Colin's going to continue to play very well here. I think this course is too much of a perfect setup for Bryson and Brooks, where they're going to play well as well. Rory is tough to figure out because he can be volatile. Obviously, he got off to a great start. He was not good off the tee today. You would expect that to correct itself. you just never, and he comes off of that wildly hot round that we talked about in the last segment last Sunday. Sahith Theegala, I think he's a great fit for this golf course, a long driver off the tee, and also has the combination of being a great putter. Finau worries me because he hasn't been in great form at all. But, some of these bigger hitters who got off to a great start, and Morikawa, Bryson Brooks and Morikawa, I expect them to be sticking around for a while here.
Brady, remember how over the weekend we talked about the golf crystal ball, right?
Yes. You had a good one going.
So there's one name that I just kept asking you about. Now, I wasn't saying anything polite or that he was going to be great, but all of a sudden, look who figured out how to have a good round of golf in a big tournament. Here's Victor Hovland, 3 under,
yeah.
T19, even money to have a top 20. I'm not saying I'm running to the window to make that bet, but Hovland of last year, right, Brady? And I know it's not the same guy, but Hovland of last year, sitting T19 through the first round, is not even money then to finish top 20 in that same golf tournament.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But let's temper this a little bit. I was worried early on in the day, again, trying to root home Xander Schauffele for a first-round leader ticket, and all of a sudden Hovland comes charging out of the gates. He was 3 under through 4 holes. And then he bogeys his 5th hole of the day, bogeyed his 8th hole of the day, and then shot just 1 under par on the back 9. And the early morning guys, and that's one of the reasons I played Xander for a first-round leader. I felt the early morning would have the advantage because this golf course we know has been pelted with rain the last couple of weeks. So the guys teeing off early were probably going to get the softest, wettest conditions where they could really throw some darts into these greens. And Hovland, as the afternoon went on, he tailed off. And we saw that happen to him at the Masters as well. Came out hot and then kind of became a train wreck later. We'll wait and see what happens to him on Friday.
Yeah, we certainly will. There is one more guy I want to ask you about. If you can stick around, we'll do that after this break, and we'll close it out, give everybody the NBA baseball thoughts as we are live with you on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A lot of books. And outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on Sports Grid Game Time Decisions. We're closing it out. Brady Cannon's still with us because I thought it would be a mistake to not bring up Tiger Woods because it's Tiger. And I don't know. Maybe this doesn't matter. I really am now at the point, if you told me that Tiger could drive around the course, I would say he'd still probably be a top 15 golfer in the world. I know the course played easy today. I get that, right? But there are guys that blew up, right? There are guys that weren't. Phil shot the 3 over. Tiger, he still can get the job done for a stretch, and it's incredible. But every time we get to these major events, the Tiger bets now for people, some still sprinkle those outrights, Brady. It's make the cut. It's what everybody's interested in when it comes to Tiger Woods.
Yeah, absolutely. And he didn't get off to a great start, like you allude to there. He got the easiest part of the draw, like we talked about with Schauffele, getting out to that first-round lead. Tiger was teeing off in the early morning as well when that golf course was at its softest and its most gettable, and he still managed to shoot 1 over par. That's okay, but it's not great moving forward because he's going to tee off late on Friday. They're expecting rain throughout the day on Friday and on Saturday as well. I don't think it's supposed to be a downpour. It looks like it could be playable, and they'll just have to play through it. That'll continue to keep this golf course very soft, and maybe that'll allow Tiger to score well enough. But, getting off to a start where you're already 1 over par, where the scoring has been low, he's probably going to have to shoot like 4, who knows, maybe 5 under. I would say he'll probably have to shoot 4 under to make the cut. Maybe -3, -2, -3, somewhere in that neighborhood is the cut. And that could be asking a lot for Tiger. Like you say, he has trouble physically. It's not necessarily the golf game. It's just the physicality of walking around this golf course for another 18 holes in the afternoon. Temperatures are nice. It's not like the old PGA when we played in August, and it's difficult with the heat and the humidity as well. I tell you, some people who are sweating right now are the people that bet a lot of money. A lot of sharp money was on Phil Mickelson to beat Tiger Woods head-to-head in a head-to-head matchup. And right now, obviously, Phil 2 shots off the pace already.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to track then. It is awesome to me that those two are still out there. You could at least rely on it for all of these big events. Brady, appreciate it. And we will talk this weekend, what is clearly going to be a great weekend of golf at the PGA Championship.
A lot of big names on this leaderboard. A lot of golf left, man. Talk to you again soon.
Certainly so. All right, awesome stuff there from Brady Cannon. Eyeing it up right now, Liberty up 40-27 on the Indiana Fever, but more important than that, Halen Clark, 3 rebounds in that first quarter. Now, we are approaching half. She is still at 3, but that puts us well on our way to the 4 rebounds and on pace for 6, which would be excellent. An early lead for Carolina, 1-0 at the end of 1 over the New York Rangers. Mets 2-0 on the Phils. Pirates 2-0 on the Cubs. And then the Rays just took a 3-1 lead on the Boston Red Sox. Astros, Athletics, MLB play of the day. Under the 9 as we look for a lack of runs in Houston tonight against Oakland. Timberwolves, Nuggets. The Anthony Edwards 1.5 steals plus blocks prop despite that 166 juice. Perhaps looking a little expensive, not expensive enough to keep me off of it. Give me Ant over 1.5 steals plus blocks, and give me Michael Porter Jr. in the bounce back spot here tonight over 13.5 points. I do like Minnesota to win this basketball game. I've not played it yet, but I keep calling myself a coward all show. I mean, perhaps I shake that trend by playing it. We'll see. We'll see what we like to do. Of course, tomorrow, Joe Ranieri will hold it down live this weekend for a big weekend of action. Plenty of playoffs. Saturday has a huge WNBA slate. Baseball continues to roll on. We'll get a full Saturday card to introduce some more money lines into the mix. And then following this PGA Championship right now, which looks like it's going to settle with 3 golfers under a 10-1 price, Xander Schauffele, Scottie Scheffler, and Rory McIlroy. Brooks Koepka and Colin Morikawa round out the top 5 right now at the PGA Tour Championship. It is going to be a ton of fun to follow that, and that is exactly what we will do. Coming up next here, though, it's a big night on In-Game Live as they will get you set for Timberwolves Nuggets and also get you the updated numbers with Carolina and New York. Can the Rangers avoid dropping a third consecutive game here in this series and a Game 7 back in their building? Time will tell. Best of luck with those bets. I'm Kevin Walsh, Game Time Decisions. I'll see you Saturday.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value.